Good morning, Abundant Life Church. This is Pastor Chris. Today we're going to wrap up our study on Romans chapter 9, verse 30, down through chapter 10, verse 4. And we've been talking about the whole idea of, the Jews were the chosen people, they were in the covenant, and now the Gentiles are in the covenant. They've never been seeking God, but now they're in, and the Jews who had been seeking God are out. Now, this system is right and it is fair because it's not God who made that decision. God didn't decide to kick the Jews out. They decided they don't want to come in. It was up to them. The truth is, we have to come through Jesus. This was the stumbling block for the Jews. They didn't want to come through him. But we have to come through Jesus, and coming through him means losing ourself so we can find God. That's a very important concept. We lose ourself so we can find God. Let's look at verse 4 of chapter 10. Christ is the culmination of the law, so that there may be righteousness for everyone who believes. Notice he doesn't say there may be righteousness for the Gentiles now. And he doesn't say there used to be righteousness for the Jews. He gets rid of that Jew and Gentile stuff. He says everyone who believes. But here's a question that we have now. Why were the Jews so stubborn about coming through Jesus? Jesus was obviously God's son. He did all these miracles. So why did they so stubbornly refuse to believe him? Why? Because they didn't need Jesus. You're thinking, Pastor, what are you saying? Yeah, they didn't need Jesus. They had the law. The law would save them. Okay, here's the problem. They had the law. They never understood the law. The law was never meant to save people. There's nothing in the law of Moses, it's not in there, where God says, if you keep the law, I will save you. He says, if you keep the law, I'll bless your crops and protect you from your enemies. That's it. There's no mention of salvation. The agreement wasn't that you would get salvation. So why were the Jews clinging to the law so tight? Easy. They had a wrong idea. They thought if they kept the law, they'd be saved. It doesn't work that way. God never promised you that you would be saved. You see, here's the problem. If you keep the law, and the law would save you, that actually puts you into God's debt, or puts God into your debt. When you go to work, your work is probably like every other job in the world. The job I have here at Abundant Life is the same. I get paid, actually, let me rephrase that. They give Debbie the money. I think it's on the 15th and like the 30th. It's the middle of the month and the end of the month. But the thing is, they are paying me for work I did over the last 2 weeks. They're not paying me for work I'm going to do. So here's the concept. You work first and then you get paid. So when you work, you are actually legally putting your employer in debt to you. They're not giving you the money because they're nice. They're not giving, well, let me take that back. People here are nice and wonderful, but you know what I mean. They're not giving you the money out of the goodness of their heart. They owe it to you. They are in your debt. So if you keep the law and that saves you, hey, God, look what a great life I've led. You owe me heaven now. You are in my debt. Is that how it works? Absolutely not. God didn't want people trying to earn their salvation. The problem with earning your salvation is when you think you've done enough, what do? You stop. You stop. God didn't want that. God wanted to give salvation as a gift. He said, I don't want you as my employee. I want you as my children. I want you here as part of my family. I want to give you this gift of salvation. All you have to do is take it. And then I want to start a new relationship where we're together, we're one. This isn't a case of God just wanting to be needed. The problem is that when we try to earn our salvation, we're focused on how good we're doing. We're focused on all the things that we've accomplished. We get upset at the sins we've committed, thinking, does that move us down in the rankings? Does that affect our track record? The bottom line is, when we're trying to earn our salvation, we spend a whole lot of time thinking about us. just don't spend much time thinking about God. What faith is actually much, much harder. Faith is trusting God. Faith is keeping your eyes on God. Salvation comes from depending on Him. That means letting go, dying to ourselves, and discovering God. It's almost easier to try and live thinking that salvation is up to us. That we understand. We earn it. We get to control things then. Hey, even if we're doomed to failure, at least we're in control. Now, we need to trust God. I'm going to close with a story I used at the very first sermon I ever preached. 15 years old, all the way back at the First United Methodist Church of San Jose on a youth Sunday, I had to preach. I've never been so scared in my life, and when it was over, I thought, thank goodness I never have to do that again. But I remember this story. It's an old story. Preachers have been using this story for years. The guy is looking over the edge of a cliff and he falls over. On his way down, he reaches up, he grabs a branch, and he's hanging there now by this branch. If he lets go, he'll die. He can't climb back up. And he yells up, "Help, is there anybody up there?" And a voice comes, this booming voice says, "Yes, my son, I am the Lord your God." And the man says, "Will you save me?" He says, "Yes, my son. Let go of the branch and I'll lift you up." And the guy says, "Anybody else up there?" It's hard to trust God. It's hard to let go. But this is where salvation is. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.